Welcome to Point to Rise, your podcast that gives you permission to dream big, take messy action, and turn your talent into profit while turning your back on perfection. My name is Susanne, high performance and mindset coach, former international ballerina, profitable entrepreneur, and founder of Point to Rise, a movement designed to empower dancers. It is my mission to use my own story as an inspiration for today's generation of dancers. And now sit back, stretch, warm up, or sip your coffee and love learning how much it matters to point at yourself first to rise to all that you are capable of.
And welcome to another episode of the Point to Rise podcast. My name is Susanne and I'm your host today. So today I want to talk to you in my solo episode about something that I have been perhaps struggling with over the past couple of days, and that's comparing myself to others. And let me back up a little bit, because I thought I have all the tools when it comes to comparing and how to drown it out. I thought I had it all figured out, and then I'm not doing that anymore. And what I'm experiencing, what I'm realizing at them when push comes really to shove, when you're really stepping into that next version of yourself, I am here again. I am here comparing myself to what I believe others have already accomplished. I'm comparing myself to what I believe I need to be in order to successful, what I believe to be in order to make Rise Media a success. And it's this mind game that I'm playing with myself, and it is eating up energy that I could be spending somewhere else. So with this said, I know I talked on here about comparing ourselves and why we shouldn't be doing that. But let me tell you, it is not as easy said as done. I think we need to understand why we're doing it. I think we need to be more intentional about understanding how we can actually work against our need to compare ourselves. And in order to do that, we need to understand why we're doing it. So let me start with that. Why are we actually comparing ourselves? So to be very clear, comparison only becomes toxic to ourselves when we bring our ego into the place. Comparing actually allows us to form a baseline for where we are in life and where we want to be, right? So it allows us to take stock of and calibrate ourselves against anybody out there, our peers, against our fellow students, friends, colleagues, what have you, and against the people we look up to. So this is why there is comparison, right? We take stock to understand where we're at without any judgment. The judgment, when we're bringing in judgment of ourselves and perhaps of others, is when comparison becomes toxic. So it becomes toxic because we are starting to compare our mediocre features to somebody's very best features, hoping or longing for actually having that, right? So we're comparing ourselves to others, allows them to be the driver of our own behavior. So this type of comparison is between us, ourselves, and someone else. And sometimes it's about something even genetic, something that we can't really control, like being taller or skinnier or capable of, I don't know, jumping higher, anything like that. And when we're getting down into this rabbit hole, we are actually diminishing our features, meaning we are undermining and underplaying what we're really great at. And we're putting our energy into the wrong basket. So again, when we compare ourselves to others, we're often comparing their best feature against our average ones, right? For example, it's like it's like being right-handed and trying to play an instrument with our left hand, or you are a left turner and you're going on stage and trying to do right turns all the time. That is not only do we naturally want to be better than somebody else, the unconscious realization that we're not often become self-destructive is here the key, meaning that Where again are we concentrating on something that is not our superpower, trying to make that something that we can compare ourselves to others and say, hey, I now am somewhere and somewhat like that, so therefore I am worthy. So let's talk about where that actually comes from, the comparison need, because as I'm experiencing, it is so easy to go down that rabbit hole of saying, oh, I am not good enough. I am not worthy of doing this. I can't do this. Somebody else is doing it much better. It's already there. It already has been done. Therefore, I will not be successful. And if everybody would be thinking like that, guys, nothing would be getting accomplished. So I remember in the studio, how often did I look around and say, wow, they're getting all the roles. It's because their feet are better. They're getting all of this because they have this better. So I need to do this better again. And in my self-development journey, I have moved away from understanding that everything that I need, let me rephrase. I have understood that I place my worth on outside validation, on outside things that I can control, versus actually going within and looking, hey, what am I capable of? And when we are becoming, or we're putting ourselves into, let's say, uncomfortable situations, when we're putting ourselves into situations that we're normally not in, we tend to default back into old beliefs, old behaviors. And it's in that moment where we get to make the choice, do I believe these things still? Is that really me, or is it not? So today on our walk, my husband and I, we walk every morning, most of the time. And I found myself in a, not a really good place. Really, honestly, I was saying, oh, there are 15, there's companies out there that are already offering creatives a platform that, they can make money on it and build their community and their own their community. And so why am I doing this? And I really, when that came flying out, I actually heard myself saying these words and said, wow, this is not you anymore, Sis. This is really truly not who you want to be. You know that with this kind of mindset, with this kind of attitude, with this kind of comparison, you will not get anywhere. Nobody will believe you. Nobody will buy into you. So what I really am focusing on right now is drowning out all of these noises that make me compare myself to what others have achieved. It also makes me drown out to compare myself to my past self, the one that was too scared to do these things. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and this lady was explaining how her father, every week when he came home, or every day actually, at the dinner table, they were asking, he was asking her, what did she fail at? And if she couldn't answer, he was actually disappointed. So he encouraged the children to fail as often as possible, because failure is something that occurs between the steps of successes, right? So we really need to understand, especially when you're now back in the studio, you have changed. Pardon me. This is a really hard topic for me to talk about. As you can hear, my voice is literally giving it. Oh, there we go. Back. Perfect. So you have changed. You completely have changed. You may have just changed a little bit, but you are dealing with a new version of yourself, and looking at that version on a daily basis, having certain expectations, and then looking around at others that perhaps are different, and you're not quite secure yet at where you are at and who you want to become. That leaves more room in to compare yourself to others, and having that as something not fruitful, meaning not something as being inspirational for you and to drive you more forward, but something that could diminish who you have become or who you want to become. I hope that makes sense. So when when we're in this kind of fragile in between state, it is so important to have that hyper awareness of what thoughts are coming in and how you can choose differently. So you're not going back to that old version of yourself that was so scared of stepping outside and doing new things. So the comparison in the studios, the comparison in on stages, in auditions, I encourage you. I can so relate to this. I am going through it with you right now, just in a different form and facet. Just know that we all are wanting to go down this rabbit hole, that we're still that we're doing it because we're not feeling enough, because we think that who we are and what we are capable of is not enough for somebody else. And my question is it enough for you? Can it be enough for you? Should it be enough for you? Do you really think that somebody else can give you what you can't give yourself? And I encourage you to really think about that, because I had to myself come to the conclusion nobody out there can ever, ever, ever give me what I'm lacking myself. I need to find that myself. And that may be the journey right now in releasing all of these comparison traps and need to look on the outside what you don't have. And believe me when I say it is so hard to go within and to really understand that you are holding all the power, that what you want to do is within you, because we have been taught that everybody else has the control over us, right? That the director is deciding whether or not you get the role or the contract, or the audience is deciding, or the board is deciding, or whoever else is deciding. But if you allow other people to play around with you, you will never find stability within yourself, meaning that everything you do on a consistent basis will be coming from a place of fear, lack, and shame. And letting that go starts with these tiny steps of understanding what thoughts you're thinking when you are, let's look at, standing in the studio and you comparing yourself to that person that's standing in front of you. She's sweating more, or whatever that might be. And the power lays in how can you, or in your awareness of this not being a good thing for you because it's in your way, it's not propelling you forward. And then how can you change that? And understanding that in between, where it feels so uncomfortable, where your ego fights you to tooth and nail, where it really doesn't want you to change, and where you get to say, well, I'm just going to lean in. I'm just going to surrender. And that for me has been a game changer. I am surrendering. I am completely open to everything great. And I am so surrendering to these thoughts coming in and letting them go, and not attaching myself to them and not judging either. Big rant today, because it is still so fresh in me. And I didn't want to wait until I think I'm through it, because once I'm done, I don't have the words anymore to describe it in a, let's say, more emotional facet. So comparing ourselves to others is not something that will help you to get better. When you are attaching your ego to it and you're comparing your average, not behaviors, but capabilities to their best capabilities. If you are the only person, and I'm sure you've heard this a million times, the only person you really should be comparing yourself to is yourself. Where were you yesterday? Where were your thoughts? How did you manage? How were you feeling? What did you eat? Not how much did you eat? How did you eat, as in How good did you take care of your body? Or how not? And what can you do better today? It's that 1% progress. So look at yourself yesterday and decide where you want to go today. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for listening. And as always, please share your biggest takeaway or the thing that you don't agree with at all on your IG story. Till next time, bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.